What's going on, people? Welcome along to Arsenal Fan TV, and surprise surprise, we've just lost at home to Manchester United, the final score being 2-1, and I don't really know how I'm left feeling after this. I mean, this result, just where does it leave us? Where does it leave us standing? How do we progress from this result? We are 8th in the table now with 15 points behind the title. What do we have left to play for this Premier League campaign apart from getting 4th again? In a sense, we should be grateful that the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, etc. haven't got to their A game yet, because if they were playing well, we would be nowhere. We would be not even close to getting 4th in the Premier League. United move up to 4th today, which is depressing enough as it is, and if you look at the team they played, how we didn't best that side, it's beyond me. And you know what, the worst thing is that it's consistent disappointment. On my behalf especially, I'd love to be bringing you a more positive and upbeat review, but the fact of the matter is, that's not how it is. It is an awful result today. I don't know how I can summarise that. What went wrong today? What went wrong? How did we not score in that first half where we absolutely blitzed United? How did we not score against a back three of Blackett, McNair and Smalling? With all respect to the likes of McNair and Blackett, who had good games today, a season ago no one's heard of these players, and we can't score past them with the likes of Alexis Sanchez, Chamberlain, Ramsey, Wilshere, Danny Welbeck up top. It's embarrassing, to say the least. It is embarrassing, and we couldn't get a goal until Olivier Giroud came on in the latter stage of the game and absolutely showed a superb work ethic to get that tremendous effort in the latter stage of the game. It's just a shame that it counted for nothing, but I'll get onto that a little bit later. Going into this game, I was filled with, I'd say it was a sense of optimism or false confidence, whatever way you want to look at it. I mean, I thought that given the United injuries they had and how we had a lot of players that had individual standout performances in the international break, I thought we could take a lot of confidence from that, and we could have gone into this game with our heads held high in a sense. Although we just lost to Swansea, we could have gone into it with a bit of optimism. We've had time to be a little bit more collective, especially Arsene Wenger. He's had a 2-week break. A lot of players came into this game, they should have been a little bit more refreshed, and we should have got something out of it. I'm just left feeling so frustrated. The first thing that I think went wrong today, which every Arsenal fan I'm sure will agree with me, playing Monreal yet again at centre-back. In fairness to Monreal, he didn't really do anything that you can say he did wrongly today, but he's not a centre-back. He's not a centre-back. He's not tall enough to be a centre-back, and Callum Chambers just plays so much better in that role. It seems to be that every single Arsenal fan can see that, apart from Arsene Wenger himself, and that is a constant source of stubbornness and frustration. I don't know how he hasn't changed it, and I think in one essence, one thing Wenger can learn from Louis van Gaal, if there's one thing that he is going to learn from this game, Van Gaal puts faith in his youth players. He had the bottle to play the likes of McNair and Blackett. In fairness, he did have to play those players because he had no one else left, but he put faith in them. It's not like he's playing Darren Fletcher as centre-back or something. I mean, that's the kind of thing you could realistically see Arsene Wenger doing if he was in charge of United at this moment in time. I mean, it's abysmal. It's absolutely abysmal. We should have played Hector Bellerin. Why couldn't Wenger put the faith in Bellerin? Di Maria, yeah, he was quiet today, and I don't think he would have caused our fullback any problem. He didn't seem to cause Callum Chambers all that many problems at times, and I would have thought Bellerin, being a pacey guy as well, would have been able to cope with him at least. I just don't know why Wenger couldn't see that, and we were just left so open at times. Monreal just can't cope with the centre-back role, but he's not a centre-back. But like I said, he had a fairly decent game today, but for a majority, we didn't have to defend, and that was because we were so in control of the game. We also saw Jack Wilshere start in the number 10 role, which I thought was really interesting to see, and I thought a lot of our game was going through him, and I think that's where it really went downhill when he went off the pitch injured. Hopefully he's not injured for too long, because like I said, a lot of the play was going through him, and he was our key man at times, but his decision making, especially in that first half, was shocking, absolutely shocking. There was an opportunity he had which he should have scored past De Gea. I think he had Alexis square to him where he should have passed it to him, or at least driven it past De Gea, but he did neither. De Gea saved it, and I think that's a chance that we absolutely squandered. United, they had very few chances, but they took the ones that came their way, apart from a woeful Di Maria chance at the end of the game. But we could have lost this game 3-0 if that had gone in. That's the reality right there. That would have been absolutely... if it's bad enough now, can you imagine if we'd have lost 3-0? That would have been shocking. I mean, that first half we were so in control of it, and how we didn't manage to score with the amount of possession, the amount of dominance we were having in the game. And it's frustrating to see, because we were having so many delightful, delicious moves that you could see between players, the likes of Ramsey, Wilshere, all combining well. Chamberlain, who was probably my man of the match today, his work rate was second to none, bombing down those flanks, and the triangles, the 1-2s, it was really intricate play from us. We should have got a goal. And we went into half-time at 0-0. And you could have pictured it being a 0-0. I certainly didn't think we'd lose this game because United were offering very little going up top their way. Van Persie had barely touched the ball in the first half. Rooney had done very little. Di Maria was about the only one who'd gone close, but none of them really had a clear-cut chance on goal, whereas we had, and we didn't take the ones that came our way. We should have gone into half-time at least 1-0 up, which unfortunately we didn't. We come out in that second half, and the inevitable capitulation happened, which I hate to say it like that, but you can kind of expect it. I hate going into these games expecting the worst to happen. I should be positive, I should be optimistic, but I just can't feel it. I can't sense it, and when it feels like we're never going to beat United, that's the more frustrating thing. I mean, it does honestly feel like you could dress up a bunch of Sunday League players, put them in United shirts, and we'd still struggle to beat them, just because of the mental effect that we've got, that mental stumbling block that we can't beat Manchester United, and we should have done today. We absolutely should have done. But that second half, it's not like United were in control of the game, but they were having more dominant spells of possession. Jack Wilshere went off injured, and like I said, a lot of the play was going through him. That's when it went downhill. They got a fortunate goal through, well, it was an own goal apparently coming off Kieran Gibbs, but the Valencia shot, we were unfortunate to see that. Szczesny was on the floor, he went off injured. Not a lot that could have been done about that, but we shouldn't have allowed them to get in that position. It was a poor goal, a very poor goal to concede. Emiliano Martinez comes on for Wojciech Szczesny. He looked shaky today. He looked really, really shaky. One thing that I thought Martinez did so many times was distribute the ball to a player who had a man on him. Why would you do that? And right at the end, where he should have booted it all the way up, and he just rolls it out to Callum Chambers, who's right next to him. For God's sake, use some common sense, Martinez. It's not that hard. But, you know, the goal, that's where it fell apart for us. And the lack of urgency as well. We didn't really look urgent until the board went up for 8 minutes at a time. That's when the crowd roars and that's when the players start moving a little bit faster. But for half an hour after we did very little, just passed it around our own area. It was so poor. It was so poor. We just, the lack of drive, the only players trying to really get it going. And that's another constant source of frustration. That players like Oxlade-Chamberlain and Alexis are having to drop into our own half, demand the ball off someone like Mertesacker, and then I'll just run the length of the pitch on their own. Jack Wilshere is someone that does that as well, but we really missed him when he went off, I think. But Cazorla coming on as well, he looks well past it, if I'm being honest. I mean, he doesn't, well, not well past it, that is just overreaction, but he doesn't look like the player he was. He really doesn't, which is a shame to see, because he was such a fantastic player a couple of seasons ago. But hopefully he can get some kind of form together, as we're going to need him, considering Jack Wilshere is out injured, and we need all these players at their best. But there was no creativity from Arsenal throughout the course of that second half, and we pushed every man forward. Mertesacker looked so ponderous at times, so ponderous. Gibbs was another one who was about the only one trying to get things going on that left-hand side of the pitch, and I think that's really where United targeted us, on that left-hand side. I mean, the likes of Di Maria flooded over there, Rooney, Van Persie all flooded over to that side of the field, and I think that was mainly because Monreal, he has a tendency to run over to the left flank, stay there, and then you've got Gibbs and Monreal marking the same man, and that's, you know, it's in Monreal's nature to go over to the left hand side. He's a left back, not a centre back. Everyone knows this. So with every man pushing forward, we go on to concede a second goal. Credit to Wayne Rooney, it's a really good goal taken by him, but we're not learning from our mistakes, which we have seen persistently in the games against Anderlecht, in the games against Swansea. We're pushing too many men forward. They caught us on the counter. It was so simple. That's the scary thing as well. And Rooney chips it over the keeper. Probably deserved that, because he was probably the man of the match today. Great work ethic from him. And to be 2-0 down at that point, I mean, the only person that really got things going for us after that point was the introduction of Olivier Giroud, who really showed a great battle when he came on, scoring that really elegant goal, class from him. And that's the only positive I could look at from today. The only positive I could take. Giroud coming back, scoring that great goal, and hopefully he could be a massively big benefactor for us in the coming games. And we got Dortmund next. That's going to be a really another positive review to give you right there. So, you know, hopefully we can go into that one and we can get something out of that game. But where does this leave us, honestly? Where do we push on? How do we move forward after this result against United? Leave your thoughts in the comments box below. Give a like to the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you for watching.